The tape measure snapped taut against my chest, and I felt Matthew's fingers linger just a second too long on my skin, his breath warm on my neck as he whispered the measurement. In that instant, our eyes locked in the mirror, and something unspoken ignited, a spark that neither of us could extinguish. By the end of that fitting, my world had tilted, and Matthew's, the straight-as-an-arrow family man, was questioning everything he'd built his life on. I stood in the dimly lit back room of Matthew's tailoring in downtown Chicago, the air thick with the scent of wool and starch. It was supposed to be a routine visit. I needed a suit for my sister's wedding, nothing more. But as Matthews, with his broad shoulders and easy Midwestern charm, circled me like a craftsman appraising his work, I couldn't shake the feeling that this was no ordinary transaction. "Arms up, please," he said, his voice steady but with an undercurrent I'd later recognize as hesitation. I complied, lifting my arms as he wrapped the tape around my waist. That's when it happened, the accidental brush. His hand grazed lower than intended, a fleeting touch that sent a jolt through me. I froze, my heart pounding. He pulled back quickly, his face flushing red under the fluorescent lights. "Sorry about that," he muttered, avoiding my gaze. But in that mirror reflection, I saw it. Confusion, curiosity, maybe even desire flickering in his eyes. Matthews was married, with 2 kids and a picket fence life in the suburbs. Everyone knew him as the reliable guy who coached Little League on weekends. Me? I was Alex Rivera, a 28-year-old graphic designer who'd come out in college, navigating the city's gay scene with cautious optimism. I'd chosen his shop because it was highly rated, not because I was looking for anything else. Yet here we were, the air charged with an electricity that neither of us acknowledged. As he continued measuring, the conversation turned personal. "Big event coming up?" he asked, pinning the fabric at my shoulders. "My sister's wedding. She's marrying her high school sweetheart. Picture-perfect straight romance." He chuckled, but it sounded forced. "Sounds nice. My wife's been planning our vow renewal. 10 years next month." I nodded, but inside, a knot formed. Why mention that? Was he reminding himself or me? The fitting dragged on, each adjustment bringing us closer. By the time I left with a promise to return for alterations, I couldn't stop replaying that touch. It was innocent, right? An accident. But accidents don't leave you breathless. That night, I tossed in bed, my mind racing. I dated plenty, but this felt different, raw, forbidden. Matthews was straight. Pursuing anything would be madness. Yet, the next day, I found myself back at the shop under the pretense of fabric samples. He greeted me with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Back so soon?" We talked for hours, the shop empty after closing. He shared stories of his pressured upbringing in a conservative family, how he'd married young to meet expectations. I opened up about my own struggles, coming out to parents who still prayed for my salvation. The connection deepened, unspoken tensions simmering. Weeks passed, and our interactions grew frequent. Coffee runs turned into late-night texts. Matthews confided his doubts. "Sometimes I wonder if I chose this life or if it chose me." I listened, my heart aching. Was I enabling something destructive? The guilt gnawed at me, but the pull was stronger. One evening, as rain pounded the city streets, he called. "Can we talk?" In person. I met him at a quiet bar, his wedding ring glinting under the dim lights. That day in the shop. "It wasn't an accident," he admitted, his voice barely audible. "I've been fighting this for years." My world spun. Here was a man on the brink, ready to unravel his life for a truth he'd buried. But what about the cost? His family, his reputation. And me? Could I be the catalyst for such pain? As we left the bar, his hand brushed mine deliberately this time. No words, just a promise of chaos to come. Little did I know, this was the beginning of a storm that would test every boundary we knew. The days blurred into a whirlwind of stolen moments. Matthews would close the shop early, and we'd sit in the back, sharing dreams and fears. He spoke of his wife, Sarah, with a mix of love and regret. "She's my best friend, but it's not enough anymore." I urged caution, but my own desires betrayed me. Society's gaze loomed large. In Chicago's progressive pockets, being gay was accepted, but in the suburbs where Matthews lived, it was a scandal waiting to happen. His parents, devout churchgoers, would disown him. My own family, immigrants from Mexico, had barely accepted me. Introducing a married man would shatter that fragile peace. Yet the tension built. One night, after a heated argument with Sarah over his late hours, Matthews showed up at my apartment, soaked from the rain. "I can't do this anymore," he said, stepping inside. We talked until dawn, his head on my shoulder, a boundary crossed without physicality, but emotionally charged. The next morning, guilt crashed over him. What am I doing? I have kids. He left in a hurry, leaving me reeling. Was this love or destruction? The internal conflict raged. My heart screamed yes, but logic whispered no. As the wedding approached, so did the pressure. My sister noticed my distraction. "What's going on, Alex? You seem different." I brushed it off, but inside, the walls closed in. Matthew's alterations were flawless, but our final fitting was laced with unspoken words. "It's perfect," I said, staring at our reflection. "Is it?" he replied, his eyes searching mine. That question hung in the air, a harbinger of the choices ahead. Little did we know the real measurements were of our souls, and the fit was anything but easy. The suit hung in my closet like a talisman, a reminder of the line we'd crossed. But as days turned to weeks, Matthew's texts grew sporadic, laced with apologies and excuses. Then, one afternoon, Sarah showed up at my office unannounced, her eyes red-rimmed and accusatory, the first crack in the facade that would expose everything. I froze behind my desk, papers scattering as she stormed in. "Are you Alex? The one my husband's been seeing?" My mouth went dry. How did she know? Matthews had been careful, or so I thought. We're just friends," I stammered, but the lie tasted bitter. She laughed, a hollow sound. "Friends don't text at midnight. Friends don't make him question our marriage." She pulled out her phone, showing screenshots, innocent messages twisted into evidence of betrayal. I wanted to defend us, to explain the depth of what we felt, but words failed. She left with a warning: "Stay away, or I'll make sure everyone knows." That evening, I confronted Matthews at the shop. "She knows," I said, slamming the door behind me. His face paled. "I didn't tell her. She must have checked my phone." He paced, hands running through his hair. "This is my fault. I should have ended it." "Ended what?" "Us." The word hung heavy. Was there an us? He stopped, turning to me with desperation. "Alex, I love my family. But with you, it's real. For the first time." Those words ignited hope, but also fear. What about the kids? Emily, 8, and Jack, 5, innocent pawns in this mess. Matthews adored them. Photos littered his shop walls. The internal battles intensified. For me, it was the fear of being the other man, the homewrecker society loved to vilify. For Matthews, it was the clash of identity, straight by label, but his heart said otherwise. "My parents raised me to be a certain way," he confessed one night over coffee. "Church every Sunday, marriage for life. Coming out now? It'd destroy them." I nodded, sharing my own scars. "My dad still thinks it's a phase. If he knew about you, he'd cut me off for good." The pressure mounted as the vow renewal loomed. Sarah invited me unknowingly, through mutual friends. "Come celebrate with us," the card read. Irony at its cruelest. I declined, but the guilt festered. Was I selfish for wanting him, or brave for fighting for love? Matthews wavered, torn between duty and desire. One weekend, he skipped Little League to meet me in the city. We walked along Lake Michigan, hands brushing accidentally, on purpose. "If I leave her, what then?" he asked. "We figure it out," I replied, but doubt crept in. Society's judgments echoed. Cheater, sinner, deviant. Back home, the confrontations escalated. Sarah demanded counseling. "For the kids," she pleaded. Matthews agreed, but his heart wasn't in it. Sessions turned into battlegrounds, where he dodged questions about his friendship with me. Meanwhile, my work suffered. Designs blurred as thoughts of him consumed me. Colleague noticed. "You okay, Alex? You seem distracted." "Just family stuff," I lied. The turning point came at a family dinner. My parents visited, grilling me about my love life. "When are you settling down?" Mom asked. Dad chimed in. "With a nice girl, maybe?" His joke stung, a reminder of unresolved acceptance. I snapped. "Dad, I'm gay. That's not changing." The table fell silent, old wounds reopening. That night, I called Matthews, seeking solace. "I can't keep pretending," I said. "Neither can I," he whispered. But pretense was our shield. As the vow renewal approached, Matthews made a choice. He canceled it. "I need time," he told Sarah. She exploded, accusations flying. "It's him, isn't it? That gay guy from the shop." The word gay spat like venom, highlighting the societal divide. In progressive Chicago, acceptance existed, but in their suburban bubble, it was taboo. Matthews moved out temporarily, crashing on a friend's couch. Our meetings intensified, but so did the isolation. Friends distanced themselves, whispers followed. One night, alone in my apartment, I questioned everything. Was this worth the pain? The answer came in a text from Matthews. "I choose you." Joy surged. But at what cost? His kids cried for daddy. Sarah filed for separation. The moral quandary deepened. Was love justification for upheaval? As we navigated this new reality, external pressures mounted. Matthew's parents disinvited him from family events. "We don't condone this lifestyle," his father said. My own family reacted similarly. "A married man? Alex, that's wrong." My sister scolded. The conflicts piled on, each decision a dagger. Yet, in stolen moments we found solace. A hug, a shared glance, reminders of why we fought. But the storm was far from over. Betrayal lurked, ready to strike. The courthouse loomed like a judgment hall as Matthews signed the divorce papers, his hand trembling, sealing a fate that ripped his family apart. But the real shock came later that day when I discovered his hidden emails, conversations with an ex from college, questioning if this was just a midlife crisis. Doubt seeded, sprouting into a confrontation that would test our fragile bond. I stared at the screen, heart sinking. "Who's Mark?" I demanded when he arrived at my place. Matthew's face drained of color. "An old friend." We talked. About my confusion. Confusion? After everything. Anger boiled over. Had I been an experiment? He sank onto the couch, head in hands. "Alex, it's not like that. Leaving Sarah was the hardest thing I've done. Talking to Mark helped me process." Process? The word echoed mockingly. Here I was, fighting my own demons, and he sought solace elsewhere. Betrayal stung deeper than any societal scorn. We argued late into the night, voices rising. "You promised me," I shouted. "Us against the world." "I know," he replied, tears streaming. "But the guilt, it's eating me alive." Guilt was our constant companion. For Matthews, it was the kids' tearful visits, Emily asking why daddy left. For me, it was the judgmental stares at work, rumors spreading like wildfire. Society amplified the noise. Online forums debated straight men turning gay. Was it real or a fad? Friends divided. Some supported, others ghosted. My boss pulled me aside. "Keep personal life out of the office." The internal turmoil peaked during a therapy session I insisted on. "Why now?" the counselor asked Matthews. He hesitated. "I've always felt different, but family expectations buried it." I shared my fears. Am I worth this destruction? The session unearthed mired emotions. Resentment, love, fear. But healing was slow, punctuated by setbacks. One evening, Sarah called me directly. "You think you won? He's using you to escape his responsibilities." Her words pierced. Was she right? Doubt festered, leading to more arguments. Matthew's career suffered too. Clients whispered, business dipped. Tailor gone gay jokes circulated in the suburbs. Desperate, he considered moving back. For the kids, he said. Panic gripped me. And us. Torn, he stayed, but the strain showed. We attended a support group for late bloomers, hearing stories of similar struggles. Marriages dissolved, families fractured. One man shared, I lost everything, but gained myself. Inspiring yet terrifying. Was self-discovery worth the collateral damage? As custody battles loomed, Matthews faced hard choices. Sarah demanded full custody, citing his unstable lifestyle. Court dates became battlegrounds. Witnesses testified to his devotion as a father, but prejudices lingered. The judge's stern gaze reminded us, society wasn't fully accepting. I supported from the sidelines, but resentment built. Why bear this burden? The pivotal moment came at Emily's birthday. Matthews attended, Sarah glaring daggers. Jack clung to him, whispering, Come home, Daddy. Heartbroken, Matthews left early, collapsing in my arms. What have I done? We talked honestly. This is the price, I said. But we can build something new. He nodded, resolve hardening. Yet, the moral debates raged internally. Was pursuing happiness selfish? External conflicts escalated when my parents intervened. Dad flew in, demanding, End this nonsense. You're destroying lives. The confrontation was brutal. This is who I am, I retorted. He left disappointed, straining our bond further. Matthew's parents followed suit, a family meeting turning ugly. Choose us or him. He chose me, but the loss hollowed him. As tensions crested, a betrayal surfaced. Sarah leaked our story to local media, anonymously, but details matched. Headlines screamed, Suburban dad leaves family for gay lover. The backlash was swift. Protests outside the shop, hate mail. Society's underbelly exposed, homophobia masked as moral outrage. We hunkered down, but cracks widened. Matthews snapped under pressure. Maybe this was a mistake. Those words shattered me. Was our love strong enough? In the aftermath, we reconciled, but scars remained. The high stakes demanded reflection. Every decision carried weight, every action a consequence. Yet, amid the chaos, moments of clarity emerged. A quiet dinner, hands intertwined, affirming our path. But the ultimate test approached, forcing a reckoning none anticipated. The anonymous letter arrived like a bomb, accusing Matthews of embezzling from his shop to fund our sinful lifestyle, planted by a vengeful associate who discovered our secret. As police knocked on the door, handcuffs clicking, the illusion of our new life crumbled, exposing the raw cost of our choices. In that moment, loyalty clashed with self-preservation, pushing us to the brink. Matthews stared at the cuffs, disbelief etching his face. This isn't real, he muttered. But it was. The associate, a longtime employee bitter over lost business, had fabricated evidence. Doctored books tying funds to my account. Motive? Homophobic rage. I bailed him out, but the damage was done. Headlines escalated. Gay scandal rocks local business. Society pounced, petitions circulating to boycott the shop. Customers fled, leaving empty racks. Internally, Matthews unraveled. Why fight? Everything's gone. I held him, whispering encouragement, but my own doubts surfaced. Had our love invited this? The trial loomed, a moral arena. Lawyers argued discrimination, but evidence mounted, twisted truths. Custody hearings intertwined, Sarah using the arrest to bolster her case. Unfit parent, she claimed. Matthews broke during prep. Maybe she's right. I've hurt everyone. The weight crushed him. Guilt over kids, shame from parents, regret for leaving stability. I faced my own trials. Work demoted me subtly, citing distractions. Friends dwindled to a few loyal ones. In solitude, I questioned ethics. Was loving him wrong if it caused such pain? Support came unexpectedly. A LGBTQ center offered resources, connecting us with allies. One night, over shared stories, Matthews admitted, I wouldn't change meeting you, but the hurt. It's unbearable. We recommitted, but sacrifices mounted. He sold the shop to pay legal fees, dreams dissolving. The courtroom drama peaked. Witnesses testified. Sarah tearfully recounting betrayal, the associate smugly lying. Matthews took the stand, voice steady. I'm guilty of hiding my truth, but not theft. Loving Alex isn't a crime. The jury deliberated, society watching. Acquitted on technicalities, but reputation tarnished. Victory bittersweet as custody granted joint, but with stipulations. Post-trial, we moved to a smaller apartment in the city, away from suburban scorn. Rebuilding was arduous. Matthews job hunted, facing rejections. No one wants a controversial Tailor. I supported us, but resentment simmered. This is the price, he echoed my earlier words. Family reconciliations tentative. His parents reached out cautiously. Mine sent awkward texts. Kids adapted slowly, Emily asking probing questions. Why do you love Alex, Daddy? He explained gently. Love doesn't always fit expectations. Societal shifts helped. Progressive winds blowing, but prejudices lingered. A turning point. Matthews started a new venture, online tailoring for the LGBTQ community. Turning pain into purpose, he said. I admired his resilience, but scars deepened our bond or strained it. Conflicts persisted. Arguments over finances, lingering guilt. Sometimes I miss my old life, he confessed. Hurt, I withdrew. Was this sustainable? Therapy continued, unearthing layers. Choices have consequences, the counselor noted. Own them. We did, forging ahead. Moments of joy, weekends with kids, quiet evenings, reminded us why. But awakening came gradually. Matthews embraced his identity publicly, joining pride events. No more hiding. I beamed with pride, but the journey's toll evident in his weary eyes. As stability returned, a final betrayal loomed, subtle, from within. One evening, Mark called. Just checking in, Matthews said dismissively. Jealousy flared. After everything? He reassured, but seeds of doubt sprouted anew. The climax built to a decision. Continue or part. In a heartfelt talk, we chose to fight. We've paid enough, I said. He agreed, sealing it with an embrace. The final blow came not from outside, but from Matthews himself, when he packed a bag one rainy night, whispering that the weight of our shared damages had become too heavy to bear. As the door clicked shut behind him, leaving me alone in the echoing apartment, the culmination of betrayals and sacrifices forced a profound awakening. In the silence, I realized that love, no matter how true, sometimes demands the ultimate letting go. Stunned, I didn't chase him. Instead, I sat on the floor, memories flooding. The initial touch, stolen moments, courtroom battles. Why now? After weathering storms? His note explained, Alex, you've given me freedom, but I can't escape the guilt. The kids need stability. Sarah offered reconciliation. Forgive me. Reconciliation? With her? The betrayal cut deepest. Not just leaving, but returning to the facade. Anger surged, then sorrow. Had it all been for nothing? The next days blurred in isolation. Friends consoled. You deserve better. But what was better? Safety or authenticity? Society's role loomed large, pressures that bent even the strongest. I threw myself into work, designs channeling pain into art. A series on identity sold well, ironic success from heartbreak. Matthews reached out sporadically, custody updates laced with regret. I miss you, one text read. I didn't respond, boundaries set. Family mended fences. Dad called. I'm sorry for not understanding sooner. Healing began, slow but sure. Months later, at a pride event, I saw him from afar with Sarah, kids in tow. He looked content but eyes hollow. Our gazes met briefly, a nod of acknowledgement. That night, reflection hit. We'd both paid dearly, him his truth, me my heart. Awakening came in therapy. Sometimes, love means release. I dated again cautiously, lessons etched deep. Matthew's choice sparked debates among friends. Was retreating cowardice or responsibility? Society evolved, stories like ours normalizing, but personal costs remained. Years passed. I built a life, career thriving, relationships genuine. Occasionally, thoughts wandered to what-ifs. The journey taught. Decisions ripple, morals blur in love's gray areas. In the end, was our story one of triumph or tragedy? It depended on perspective. But one question lingered, inviting judgment. Was Matthew's right to choose family over personal truth? Or did that choice betray everyone, including himself?